Action anime. You've all seen it, right? Overpowered heroes, endless power-ups, fights that never end. It's the same beats over and over. You know the formula. Not a bad formula, but one that seems very repetitive at times. But then comes Gachiakuta, and suddenly everything you thought you knew about action anime feels different from before. It's not louder, it's not shinier, it's smarter. It's a world that punishes a hero who's broken in realistic ways, and it also tells a story that actually makes you think. Today, we're breaking down why Gachiakuta isn't just another action series, it's actually a breath of fresh air. It shakes up the genre in ways that are bold, raw, and intentional. The world of Gachiakuta isn't just dark for its style, but every environment reinforces the themes portrayed throughout the story. The trash-filled streets, the strict class divides, the discarded objects, and the abandoned districts don't just look gritty, but they tell the story about how society values, or rather devalues, its own people. This isn't just about the scenery though. Around every corner, alley, and ruined building, all of it actively shapes the characters' lives. It then begins to make sense why Rudo is angry, and why side characters make morally questionable choices. All this to say that survival in this world requires more compromise and cunning than usual. Even seemingly small moments like a character hesitating over discarded food, a broken vending machine, a crumpled notebook with personal significance, all of this reinforces the idea that the world punishes neglect and indifference. Compared to other shonen and action anime, where the setting often feels decorative or interchangeable, Gachiakuta's world feels like it's existed very long before the story even began. Every detail communicates social hierarchy, oppression, and environmental storytelling that immerses the watcher. The vital instruments are more than just weapons, they're extensions of the characters themselves. Each instrument carries emotional weight, personal history, and sometimes trauma. Power comes from connection and creativity, not brute strength. This system makes every fight unpredictable. Success depends on ingenuity, knowledge, and emotional understanding, rather than who trained longer or hit harder. It emphasizes character over spectacle. For example, a character might use seemingly a mundane object in a way that surprises both opponents and the audience. That ingenuity makes combat more intellectual and narrative-driven. It also encourages character development mid-fight. A character's choice to wield their instrument recklessly or strategically will reflect their personality, their emotional growth, and their decision-making under pressure. The story consistently rewards cleverness and emotional resonance rather than just flashy action. Rudo is angry, bitter, and aggressive, but unlike many shonen protagonists, his rage isn't glorified. It's a reaction to trauma, betrayal, and societal neglect. Every lash out has consequences, and the story forces the audience to witness them. He's not perfect, he makes mistakes, loses control, and sometimes harms allies unintentionally. Watching him grapple with his anger is compelling because it feels authentic. We aren't cheering for the rage, we're understanding it. What makes Rudo stand out is how his rage interacts with other characters. His decisions often spark conflict or force growth in both allies and enemies. This complexity adds layers to fights and dialogue. He's a protagonist who evolves through both internal and external struggles, showing the audience the cost of anger in a realistic, emotional, grounded way. Gachiakuta doesn't just hint at social critique, it embeds it into every scene. Society disregards both people and objects. Every choice, every failure, and even minor character interactions reinforce these themes. The story consistently asks, who is considered valuable in this world and who is expendable? Characters' decisions and survival strategies are directly shaped by this harsh system. This makes every conflict feel meaningful. Even the smaller moments, like a character choosing to help or ignore someone, carry thematic weight. This subtle narrative cohesion makes Gachiakuta feel intentionally designed and not episodic. Compared to other action series that often treat supporting characters or the environment as props, Gachiakuta uses its world to communicate critique, making the story feel alive, immersive, and socially relevant. Romance exists in this anime, but it's never the entire focus. Emotional connections develop naturally through shared hardships and small acts of vulnerability. You notice them without the story ever having to pause to highlight them dramatically. These subtle interactions enhance the character depth and provide moments of relief without undermining tension. They shape decisions, show personal growth, and add realism. The romance doesn't feel forced or oversaturated, it acts as texture, supporting the larger themes of survival, identity, and interpersonal relationships. For example, a comforting gesture during a high-stakes moment could reveal more about the characters' personalities than pages of dialogue could ever. Gachiakuta uses this restraint to maximize emotional impact. And for me personally, I feel like this anime does a really well job considering that there's a lot of different characters that you could potentially see together. For me, being that our main character is more on the rageful side when it comes to him personally, I think finding a correct character for him to be with when it comes to romance is going to be very difficult for the author to do, but I feel like whenever it's all said and done, it's going to be really well written because it's not just going to be thrown in our face, but it's going to develop gradually over time, and it's also going to make us feel like we got a great reward for waiting. For me personally, I think there's a couple of characters that the main character could go with, but at the same time, I feel like no matter where Rudo or who he ends up with, I feel like it's going to be great either way. Gachiakuta's pacing is deliberate. It doesn't rush fights or escalate stakes unnecessarily. Quiet moments allow the tension to build, emotions to settle, and consequences to sink in. This approach makes action sequences more impactful. You feel the payoff because the audience has been given time to understand stakes, character motivations, and the weight of decisions. It also gives space for thematic exploration. You notice environmental cues, relational dynamics, and instrument-based strategy without feeling overwhelmed. The story trusts the audience to stay engaged, resulting in a rhythm that feels both mature and immersive. And in my opinion, I think that even though a lot of people try to say that this anime has more of a slower pace, I would say it's more mid to fast paced, because even though slow parts are in the anime, I feel like it's very important for that to happen. The first episode of Gachiakuta doesn't put us into the main world where our protagonist is going to be hanging out for the majority of the time, which in my opinion really sets the stage for the entire show. It allows us to see what we're dealing with, what the world is looking like, who our main character is, what he's going through, and this pacing I think really does help, and it's very cleverly written, and it makes me feel really, really good because I know that going forward, nothing is going to be rushed too fast or just thrown out of the blue for no reason. Side characters feel alive. They have flaws, goals, and arcs that intersect meaningfully with the protagonist's journey. They're not just there to show power scaling or provide exposition. Through disagreements, shared trauma, and moments of courage, they influence the plot and the protagonist's growth. Each choice they make has consequences reflecting the world's brutality and unpredictability. This depth makes the world feel fully realized and not just a backdrop for Rudo's journey. Side characters enhance themes, create tension, and provide emotional contrast, making Gachiakuta's narrative rich and multidimensional. And for the most part, whenever I've been looking into a lot of these side characters, not just the ones that are like the side characters from our main protagonist, but actual side characters that aren't focused on much, we do get like a piece of each of their puzzle. We get to see a little bit of each person, as of right now, and I think that's really well done. It makes me feel a lot better knowing that there aren't just random characters there just for, a room being full or, to show how strong somebody is. It makes it makes me feel a lot better knowing that there's been a lot of thought put into each character that is specifically here. I think, in my opinion personally, it adds so much to the story, making it to where, your favorite character could be a multitude of different characters, but also it just allows for so much more emotion and so much more action to be put. At its core, Gachiakuta prioritizes intent over spectacle. Fights are narrative-driven, power growth is unpredictable, and victories often have emotional and physical cost. The story focuses on why characters fight, not just how flashy the action looks. Consequences ripple through plot and character arcs, emphasizing realism and thematic cohesion. It avoids shonen shortcuts like linear power scaling, predictable arcs, or superficial fan service. Instead, it commits to creating a world that feels intentional, consequential, and emotionally resilient. The authenticity makes Gachiakuta feel unique. It's messy, raw, and grounded, a series that stays with you. It challenges both the characters and watchers alike, and for me, when I first watched this entirely through, I was really shocked by it because it was genuinely, like the title said, a breath of fresh air. I felt like I was watching something completely different, not just because of the story being different from anything I've ever heard, but I didn't feel like I was watching anything similar to this. I've never seen anything like similar in the way of like the story, the pacing, and everything like that. It's completely unique in its own way, and I feel like it's awesome that way. And to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like a basic anime at all. So what makes Gachiakuta stand out? The grit, the emotion, the living, breathing world? It trusts you to notice the details, feel the stakes, and care about the survival, identity, and the humanity. In a genre dominated by spectacle, Gachiakuta dares to be different, messy, intense, intentional. It's a story that lingers with you after you finish it. If you're ready to watch an action anime that challenges you rather than just entertains you, this is definitely the one to check out. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for more deep dives into anime, video games, movies that actually leave a mark. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all you guys' recent support on the channel. It makes me feel a lot better about the content I put out there, to know that a lot of people are enjoying it. Thank you guys again so much for everything, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay awesome, God bless, and peace.